Have you ever heard of the Zhentarim? You might have run into them while playing through Baldur's Gate 3, where they play the part of smugglers and assassins in long and winding quests. Maybe you befriended their agent in the Lost Mines of Phandelver, where your adventures in the Forgotten Realms were just beginning. In these situations, you can't help but wonder at the size and scope of their operation as you meet increasingly powerful members spread across the entirety of the Forgotten Realms. The Black Network plays a part in countless adventures and stories, playing the part of unlikely allies, brutal foes, or frequent inconveniences. But who are these mysterious mercenaries, and where do they come from? Not just in the fiction of the Forgotten Realms, but also in real life. Most importantly, how can you use them in your own campaign? Well, to answer the question of what inspired the Zhentarim, we need to make some educated guesses. The Zhentarim function as a mercenary band with lacking morals and skilled members, legendary in their abilities but beholden to cruel mages and foul gods. This, paired with their popular nickname, the Black Network, draws clear inspiration from The Black Company, a series of novels by Glenn Cook. In The Black Company, we follow a band of mercenaries by the same name as they carve a path through the world in the service of their employers, these employers being the Taken, a circle of foul wizards led by the Lady, a sorcerer of incredible power. For people already familiar with either group, this is a striking similarity. Not to mention that the Black Company was released in 1984, and the Zhentarim debuted shortly afterwards in 1987 as part of the Forgotten Realms box set. Legally, we can't say that they are directly inspired by the Black Company, but hypothetically, if it were legal, we would say it's pretty obvious that they were. Again, hypothetically. So now we have the inspiration for the Zhentarim. But what about their story in-universe? Well, it's pretty complicated, spanning centuries of twists and turns, a story that could take hours to cover thoroughly. Instead, we're gonna hit you with the broad strokes, so strap in. Their origin story is quite simple. It's a tale of power and greed. In an area called the Moonsea, a wizard named Zhentar began a hostile takeover of a growing settlement, murdering his rivals in discreet assassinations. When he was discovered and killed, the other leaders of the settlement hid the truth to save their own reputations, and named the settlement Zhentil Keep, after a few major events, including the awakening of a circle of dark liches from beneath their city, just like the Black Company. An army was raised for the keep called the Zhentalar. After more treachery and a string of assassinations, a new lord of the city emerged, a wizard named Manshoon, supported by two allies, Chess and Fazul. This is the Zhentarim's launching point. With the keep under Manshoon's control, he formed the Zhentarim as spies and servants that spread his will across the Moonsea. Eventually, Manshoon ropes in the aid of a beholder and others to keep the machinations of his ally Fazul in check. Manshoon used this network of spies and soldiers to expand his territory, having them save caravans that he had sent others to attack and weaseling his way into the other cities as a member of the Circle of Lords. Eventually, this culminated in seizing the Citadel of the Raven, after offering troops as protection, only to order them and the Zhentarim to assassinate key figures inside the city. But the story of the Zhentarim as solely servants to Manshoon couldn't last forever, especially once the gods got involved. But before we get into that, I wanted to thank you all for watching the video. And because we're still a pretty small channel, every subscription helps us immensely. So if you are enjoying the video, hit the subscribe button to help us keep making videos like this. So back to the gods. At this point, the Zhentarim and many of the Zhentil Keep were worshippers of Bane, the god of tyranny, and one of the infamous Dead Three. Specifically, Fazul was, at the time of Manshoon's reign, a major cleric to the Dark God. But in these early edition days, a god wasn't quite so impervious as we know them to be in 5e. So, things came to a head when an adventurer named Cyric killed the avatar of Bane. He then entreated the great god Ao and ascended himself to the seat of the god and named himself the God of Strife. But that's a completely different story for another video. But when this happened, all hell broke loose in the Zhentarim. Many converted to worship of Cyric, while others, including Fazul, began worshipping the son of Bane, a god named Iaktu Zavim. In the aftermath of this, there was a great purge of any and all worshippers of Bane within Zhentil Keep in an event called the Bane Death. The sole survivor was Fazul himself, but the reason why was a mystery, described only in a throwaway line about him having a special relationship to Cyric. This left the Zhentarim beholden to the new god. This, however, quickly became a problem. Cyric was a mortal turned god with a nasty habit of getting into fights that he couldn't win, and then stealing other gods' divine portfolios. This overexertion of power was driving Cyric insane, and before long, Manchun began to realize that a dark future awaited Cyric. Slowly and methodically, Manchun and the Zhentarim, loyal to him, shifted resources from Zhentil Keep to the Citadel of the Raven. In the end, this conflict escalated into a vast-spanning conspiracy that we don't have the time to tell. But when the smoke cleared, Fazul was instrumental in a divine conspiracy that would see Cyric stripped of his power and Zhentil Keep annihilated in their resulting destruction. Fazul killed Manchun, unwittingly sparking a small army of Manchun clones arising all at once, and in an event called the Manchun Wars, the clones began to kill one another, each claiming they were the one true Manchun, and taking portions of the Zhentarim with them. Eventually, however, one of these clones swore fealty to Fazul and returned to the Zhentarim, who had begun to serve a now resurrected Bane. In the end, this too would fall to ruin, leaving Fazul and Manchun dead, and the Zhentarim leaderless. A Cyric worshipper named Paraghost took over leadership, named for the strange armor that made him look like one of the undead. Under Paraghost's command, the Zhentarim stopped being tools of dark wizards and evil gods, and instead became a mercenary army. With countless missions successfully handled, and a growing renown for their incredible skill and prowess, the Zhentarim were finally free to grow into a large and powerful organization. Once known only as spies and killers, now they had a reputation as expensive but effective mercenaries, who didn't ask too many questions. This is the state that we find the Zhentarim in now. But all that history leaves open an incredible number of options for you as a DM. A group of Zhentarim encountered in your game could find their allegiance split to any of the previous incarnations of the Zhentarim. Maybe they're the mercenaries serving under Paraghost, unscrupulous soldiers with talents for warfare. Another secluded group may be gathered under a clone of Manchun, who survived the wars, still hoping to find some way back to the seat of authority he once held. And yet a third group could be dedicated even now to Bane, spreading the will of their resurrected god in the hopes that they'll be rewarded in return. Best of all, these three could all exist in the same place and time, locked in a terrible struggle lifted right out of one of the Man with No Name movies. Wherever you are in the Forgotten Realms, odds are you aren't far outside the reach of the Black Network, each chapter of which will have its own goals, politics, and machinations. They can be found in black markets, city council halls, divine temples, and dark dungeons. Their mysterious methods are a hotbed for intrigue. Even the identity of Paraghost is something of a mystery, with some members wondering if that's the same man under the mask, or if we have a Dread Pirate Robert situation on our hands. They could be your party's allies, bitter foes, or neutral assassins, at odds with the party simply because of a paycheck and a need to prove themselves. In our own games, we like to have the Zhentarim play the part of political movers and shakers, looking to replace the local guards of a town for only a modest fee, or get the edge on a rival head of mercenaries. It's a great opportunity for the party to be pulled in by generous and well-equipped allies who make fast friends with the party before revealing their true nature. From the player side, being a member of the Zhentarim is a fantastic way to justify some of the abilities that backgrounds can give you. Of course you have a criminal contact in every city. What city doesn't have a few Zhentarim on its streets? Not to mention what kinds of secret side goals you could be given in dead drops and secret missives. How will your rogue react when the final command is to steal the treasure you all just found and return it to the Zhentarim ASAP? You can use the Zhentarim in 101 ways. They're a cross between a thieves guild, a spy network, a dark cult, and a mercenary company. But that begs the question, how would you use them in your own game? How have you used them in the past? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, I'm sure you'll love this video too. Subscribe and stay foolish.